Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to join you in the chamber this evening, and I thank all of our professional staff as well, our parliamentarian, our readers, our clerks, our typists, for their continued commitment to this institution in this climate. It certainly feels different. We recognize that the well is no longer open for this time period, that we speak from the desk and from the chairs, and yet we still speak. We still deliberate. We still conduct the dialogue and the discourse of democracy, for that's what we do in this institution, is we erect and pass the nation's laws. And oftentimes we hear from the public that it feels so polarized, that it feels too heated, that it feels stagnant because of the polarization. Why can't you just work together? You hear that all the time. I hear that from my district that is comprised of so many independents, people who are not registered as Democrat or Republican. They're registered to vote, and they're good Americans in Michigan's 11th district, but they're looking for us to work together. And in part, Madam Speaker, it's because I represent so many manufacturers, so many individuals who are engineers, who are dedicated makers and creators, so many educators, people passing those technical skills down to the next generation. Madam Speaker, I know you have many of those in your district in eastern Iowa. That is something us Midwestern ladies have in common, which for the districts we represent, that the people who make things, and they go to work every day, not under a partisan circumstance, right? They go to work to produce, to give a good day's effort for that on-time delivery. See, that's the privilege I have representing the largest concentration of suppliers in America. And the world changed very quickly in this 2020. This new decade, in this still fledgling century. It changed so quickly with the coronavirus pandemic. Almost overnight, schools stopped, work stopped, health and safety paramount. The listening and the engagement with the science, the patience that we had to provide for the science with a new virus that swept the globe in a fiscal quarter, less than a fiscal quarter. Many infected, many perished tragically and unfortunately, and yet our economy changed as a result. And I think it's worth noting where our economy is today. And what I'm seeing out of my incredible district, a manufacturing district. We have some sayings in Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area. Right, we're the suburbs of Detroit. We call ourselves Metro Detroit. It's southeastern Michigan, just an absolutely remarkable place. And we say, Detroit hustles harder, that Detroit hustles harder. And I like to say that Detroit always rises, that we rise when times are steady, and we certainly rise when times are tough. And we've done it before, Madam Speaker. There's a fly in here, but I don't mind having a fly in the, a little fly buzzing around the floor. Who'd have thunk? But the words continue. Detroit always rises. And we say that because 10 years ago, we were staring at the edge of another cliff. Our auto industry was looking bankruptcy, true liquidation in the face. And it wasn't just the nameplate companies. It wasn't just General Motors and Chrysler and Ford, but it was the thousands of suppliers with the hundreds of thousands of jobs, 900,000 jobs on the line. And Democrats and Republicans together said, we're not going to let Main Street fail, that we're going to continue to be a first world nation with industrial assets. And that's what we did with the CARES Act. Overwhelming support passed by a Republican Senate, a Democratic House, signed by a Republican president, standing up for the hardworking American and for our industrial assets, that we will continue to make cars in America. Little known fact about southeastern Michigan, we have an incredible aerospace sector, a diversified supply chain. We just launched a rocket, SpaceX, in outer space. So many of the suppliers in my region, so many of the incredible workers who help produce the parts, components that go into those rockets. It's absolutely remarkable what we continue to do, and the workforce that bests all the expectations. So what did we do when this pandemic hit and we had to say, guess what? For the health and safety of everyone, auto manufacturing is ceased for the time being. It had to go, it had to shelter, it had to hibernate. But then they stood up and said, we're going to make the protective personal equipment. Ford with their respirators, General Motors with the ventilators, Chrysler with 1 million mask source, and on and on and on down the supply chain. The hand sanitizer coming from Michigan Enterprises. It's been unbelievable having those conversations. Alpha USA, located right in Livonia, Michigan, right where our incredible district office is located. I saw them shortly before we went into the shutdown, a UAW-run supplier company, and they were making the PPE. Now, we keep our fingers on the pulse of this manufacturing sector, and we, by the way, recognize that today is an incredibly special day, not only because it's America's birthday coming up, and we salute all of our good men and women, our veterans, our current members of our armed forces, those who throughout our communities are going to safely engage in recognizing America's birthday. But we're also going to recognize what July 1st is, which is it's the new day of our competitive framework as a North American continent, right? The USMCA. What the freshman class, what so many of us came here to see done right, not for some, bad action for the prescription drugs or anything along those lines, but to say we're going to make things in America. We're going to increase Buy American content. We're going to make and produce and sell to the world. And by golly, we got this trade deal done. And so now we can go and win. And we can compete more effectively against China. We know they're a problem. We know they're not good actors. We know they manipulate their currency. We know that they dump. But yeah, it's a new dynamic here with this trade deal, and it begins today. And I'm on the phone with the trade ambassador and the deputy trade ambassador and all our manufacturers working on an effective and fair implementation, recognizing that given this pandemic, given the low demand, that sales are down. It's on the front page of our Detroit newspapers today, the Free Press and the News, projected almost 40% decline in auto sales. Remember, my friends, Detroit hustles harder. Detroit always rises. We rise to the industrial call in this nation. That is what we did in World War II. All right, and we don't say those things because they're cliches. We don't hearken to the great generation because it's trite. It's because we can do big things in this nation collectively and together. We can fight common enemies. We can protect the health and safety of everyone together. Look at what is manifesting in the neighborhoods around this country. Certainly in the credible neighborhoods that I represent. Right across the street from me is an industrial park, right off of Auburn Road. And then you go on down and there's a nursing home. Heroes work here. We value the work in America, and no better time than this era that we have found ourselves in than with the respect and dignity for the value of work and organized labor and a 21st century labor movement that's going to protect standards, enforceable standards, and make sure that no one has to go to work afraid but that they can successfully go to work and produce that outcome. Everyone matters. No one should be left behind. Our schools, the envy, frankly, in my opinion, in my district, the envy of the world because of our training programs. Because we have more FIRST robotics teams in Michigan than in any other state in the country. Now, I was looking forward to going to Worlds, okay? It's located in Michigan. It's teams from all over the world competing, not just because they're making amazing robotics machines and pieces of equipment, but they're doing strategy, they're doing communications, they're doing sales, they're doing diplomacy. These students give me hope, and we owe them all a debt not just of gratitude, but of responsibility. We talked a lot about the class of 2020. We talked a lot about the class that didn't get to go through their traditional sayonaras, you know, the traditional graduations, the proms, the engagements. Some of them have senioritis to begin with. They're ready for that next step. They're ready for that training program, that engineering degree. Oakland University, located in my district, an amazing engineering school, leading on cybersecurity. We are a hub for cybersecurity in Michigan's 11th district, in partnership with Automation Alley. And yet we think about our students who are still coming through the pipeline, right? Who missed out on a sports season, who missed out on a computer science class, and yet they're not even seniors. And we've got to think very carefully and effectively and collectively as a government, not just exclusively as a House of Representatives, as one chamber, but in partnership with our government actors. This is why I talk to the dozens of mayors from Michigan's 11th district every week. My friends, from Commerce to Canton to Plymouth, Troy, we're on the phone with one another, working and deliberating, identifying and engaging. How do we get the best results for the most amount of people who we represent and work for possible in the given time? And that's what we're doing for our students. So I want to remind every student from the chamber of which I am delivering this address, the House of Representatives, that we work for you, and we will continue to be accountable to you and for you, and we will listen to you, and we are so proud of you. For the recently graduated seniors who are going to go off to that freshman year or to that new job or to join our military, we salute you. We are grateful for you. And for those of you still making your way through, we're not going to leave you behind, and we're going to continue to listen to you and see all the ways in which you use the tools before you to succeed. It's absolutely remarkable. And we're going to continue with your intellect, your talent, your brilliance, to be the leaders in Michigan of the manufacturing economy, where the world looks to us, leading on electric vehicle technology, companies like SolBrain that make the chemicals, the electrolytes that go into the lithium-ion battery. They're the only one in the region, and they're one of two in the United States. So we talk a lot about buy American, American jobs. Of course we do, right? We are the country that makes things that the entire world wants to buy. And when we look at the complexity of supply chains and sourcing Buy American and who chooses to expand their business, we love when they come to Michigan. We do that because we have the right policies in place, and we have the right tapestry here. We're looking at our countless downtowns, small communities. I represent the suburbs, the downtown areas, the sole proprietors, the individual companies that aren't, they're not reliant on a brand name, but they're reliant on themselves. They're entrepreneurs. And it's really quite remarkable, the leadership that they have shown. And we're going to continue to listen to them and compete at fair and level playing fields. That's certainly a big part of it. We're going to recognize what a diverse workforce gets us, what the competition for talent gives us. And we're certainly going to talk with our community stakeholders. We did so much in the CARES Act, Madam Speaker, to make sure that we stood up for the small businesses of America, the small businesses in our district. Absolutely imperative. Make sure that our small businesses can compete. And now that some of our companies are back online and we're seeing our auto manufacturing go back, I was just at a great company, Clips and Clamps, tool and die company, bought a brand new stamping machine, just gleaming, absolutely beautiful. They turned on the stamper, I cheered, just amazing, the humming of making things in this country. And you gotta understand the supply chain. You've gotta understand the complexity that goes into the payment cycles and the receivables and the need for fair and proper assurance. We only have to bat our eyes a couple of times and we can remember what we were looking at when we had the largest drop in automotive sales in the recent history in 2008, and credit dried up, and our suppliers were left wondering, am I going to get paid? Am I going to be able to continue to do the on-time delivery? And we've got to do that today, right? Liquidity in the supply chain is a real thing, and boy, is it complex to talk about. Certainly doesn't fit into a nice hashtag or a 140-character soundbite. We wrote the Secretary of the Treasury about this, Senator Gary Peters and I, along with the Michigan delegation. And this, by the way, is a great coming together of our government if we can get this done. Make sure that our suppliers can continue to supply the original equipment manufacturers. That's all they're asking for. That's all we're looking for in that. And I believe, with the right wherewithal in the Treasury, you can bring the banks together, you can listen to the workforce, you can make sure people still have jobs, and that we continue to make things and compete as effectively as possible. Op Solutions, located in Wixom. I invite everyone to come over to Wixom, Michigan, home of the shuttered Ford Lincoln plant from 2007, a rebuilt area, right? There were people who were singing the swan song of my region not too long ago. We know what they were saying. We stood up and said something different. Op Solutions, run by Paul Reisner and his incredible team of people doing light-guided parts assembly. You can do it from home. You can do it with a disability, something for all workers. When we talk about education and the need for equal funding in education, we talk about educating students of all abilities and jobs for people with all abilities. And Op Solutions was formed in the downturn, in Reisner's basement. A furloughed auto engineer creating this incredible new enterprise. He just today, Op Solutions, just today joined the World Economic Forum, one of 50 companies in the advanced manufacturing and technology space. The quiet humming that comes out of Michigan's 11th district, the determination for where the world is going to go with how we make things, how we sell things, and how we operate in a digital economy. When we think about the plight of these last 20 years, I was talking to another small business owner in my district, in the retail sector. Oh boy, was he saying, these last 20 years have really been a whopper. We had 9/11, we had a recession, now we have a global pandemic, and every day I'm going into work and I'm working to sell, and I'm working to connect with customers, and now it's really different connecting with customers. And you look at us as a nation, and so many of these students today, these young adults, were just being born when our Twin Towers fell down and when our Pentagon was attacked. I was a young freshman myself at American University, dropped off for school, a kid from the Midwest who got a chance to study political science at an incredible school just a few miles from the Pentagon. My mom and my brother dropped me off and they left, and I had been talking to my mom about my new Government 101 political science course. I said, Mom, I'm so excited. This is such an amazing class. We get to, it's 4 credits, and that extra credit is experiential learning. And we get to go to the Pentagon. That was the last conversation I had with my mom before 9/11/2001. She was calling my dorm room. She was calling my dorm room. She's trying to get in touch with me. Everyone was trying to get in touch with their loved ones before the smartphone. She couldn't get through. Signed on to AOL Instant Messenger. Hey, Mom. What happened next as a nation? There's a long story. But economically, we were the ones who proliferated the internet in Industry 4.0, as some people like to describe it. The industrial internet of things, making faster, better, closer together, relocalizing manufacturing, reshoring the production of things. I believe that device, those flat screen devices came from the great innovation of America. That's what we celebrate. That's what we work towards. That's the tapestry that we are working to put together in this chamber. Come visit us on the House Science Committee under Eddie Bernice Johnson's fabulous leadership. Chair Eddie Bernice Johnson, an incredible leader. Shortly before this pandemic was declared, we passed a bipartisan energy and R&D package through the committee. Jim Baird and I, my ranking member, as I have the privilege of serving as a chair for research and technology, passing the Building Blocks of STEM Act, investing in our next generation through the National Science Foundation. We can do these things with a return on the taxpayer dollar, by the way. We can have the conversation about effective and efficient spend, just as this institution made money from the auto rescue. The taxpayer made money. I'm optimistic about what's ahead. I'm committed to what's ahead because of the stories and the people who I have the privilege of working alongside in Michigan's 11th District. And I thank you, Madam Speaker, for your time and your diligence this evening, and to all the people who continue to make our House of Representatives hum. Thank you, and I yield back.